Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we'll be learning how to make this very simple dress that I'm wearing. It's very easy that a beginner can make. All you need is an elastic and a stretchy material and you are good to go. So if you are interested in seeing this tutorial, let's get right into it, and welcome once again. So I'm using a very stretchy material. It's a two-way stretch fabric. So I'm going to fold my fabric into two. Making sure the fold is enough for a quarter of my hip measurement. So I mark my waist divided by 4, mine is 7, and then from the starting line I mark my waist to my hip measurement. Mine is 8 inches plus 1 inch sewing allowance, making it 9 inches. So on the hip line I mark my hip divided by 4. We are not going to be adding any allowance on the side of this pattern. So you mark the length of the skirt. We are going to be cutting the skirt straight down from the hip line. I hope you understand. From the hip line you go straight down to the hem line, okay? After cutting out the front panel, you use the same pattern to cut out the back panel. We won't be adding any zipper to this pattern, so we notch the hip line of both the front and then the back, and then we are going to reduce the center front by ½ inches for only the front panel. So now the back panel is longer than the front panel by 1 inch, okay? Then you notch the center like I did. So now we bring in our elastic. Then we are going to measure how long our skirt is. After measuring how long your skirt is, you are going to reduce it by 10 inches. So when you reduce it by 10 inches, that's how long your elastic is going to be, okay? So I reduce the length of the skirt by 10 inches, and then I cut out 2 straps of elastic. This will be used for both the right and then the left side. Before that, you're going to flip open the front and then the back panel, front side facing each other, making sure the side and side align. Then you're going to stitch with ½ inches on the side for both the right and then the left, okay? So you sew with ½ inches allowance to the hem of one side and then the other. After stitching them together, it's now time for you to attach your elastic. So you bring in your elastic, the one you reduce by 10 inches. Then you're going to stitch. It's like so, like how I'm demonstrating. You stretch, then you stitch, you stretch, then you stitch, okay, on both sides. So I've gone ahead to do that, and this is what it looks like for the bottom of the dress. It's not looking so good, but when you wear it, it's going to come out very beautiful, okay? So when you flip it to the right side, this is how it looks. Beautifully guarded side. So we put this aside and we are going to work on the bodice, or the top part of the dress. So we're going to be cutting both the front and then the back. So you mark your starting line just like we do in all videos, how we create bodice. You mark your armhole, mine is 7 inches. You mark your bust point, your underbust, mine is 13, and then the hem of the top, okay, or the waistline. So you extend these points in a straight line or horizontal line like you see me do. then label. We have our bust point, underbust, and then our waist. So for shoulder to shoulder divided by 2, mine is 7 inches. I marked that on the armhole as well and connected these points in a straight line or vertical line. On the waistline, I marked my waist divided by 4 with no sewing allowance. Then I marked my bust divided by 4 and connected it like so. So I marked my neckline 3.5 inches for the neck width and then 1.5 for the back neck depth. Connect it like so. Then I came down by 1 inch to form the shoulder slope. Then I connected it to that point I indicated on the shoulder line. Now our pattern is ready, so you're going to cut it out for both the back and then the front panel. So now what we are going to do is you're going to indicate where your underbust is, right? And you're going to go up by about 1.5 or 1 inches from the underbust, and you're going to curve it back into the underbust line. I hope you understand. Okay. So you can move up about 2 inches, then you're going to curve it back into the underbust line. And then from the neck width, which is a 3.5 inch mark, you're going to mark a slanted line to meet the 2 inch mark above the underbust. I hope you understand and I'm not confusing anybody. Okay, so you're going to cut it out like so. Then we are going to create this dot, which will help our neckline to fall flat when we wear the dress. If you don't do this, there's going to be some sort of gaping. Okay, so I came in by ½ inches and I secured it with a masking tape like so. After that, you can now go ahead to cut out your waist and then that of the underbust. So this is what we have for the front panel. We are going to be doing the same thing or similar thing to that of the back, right? So you indicate the middle of the underbust portion and you're going to create a straight line as you see me doing. But before that, you're going to bring in the back panel or the back pattern. And I'm going to indicate where the band is going to start from. You can as well bring in the band from the front pattern, which is going to be very easy for you to know where it starts from so that it can align perfectly when you join them together. So after doing that, you're going to cut it out. Make sure you label your pattern paper and indicate where the center and then the side is. Also notch the top part so that you know where you'll be joining together with the upper bodice. Alright, now you can place your front upper bodice onto the back one and you're going to slash it open like so. Remember, it's both the back and then the front together. So I added 5.5 inches in between, then I cut it out like so. I mean, the space between each of the pattern is 5.5 inches for both the back and then the front. Okay, so here I'm cutting out the back as well with 5.5 inches gap between them. If you've made it this far, thank you for stopping by. I really appreciate you guys a lot. Don't forget to click on the notification bell so that you'll be notified each time I upload any new video. So you're going to cut out the back band on fold. Then we are going to be cutting out 2 pieces on fold. So this is what we have for the band for the back part. Then this is what is going to happen. You see, we are going to be pleating the back upper bodice onto the band. I hope you understand. So I've gone ahead to cut out the band for the front bodice. I also cut out 2 pieces on fold, and when you open it up, this is what we have. The same thing, we are going to be pleating the 2 upper bodice in the space provided in the band. I hope you understand. You just watch what I'm doing, okay? Alright, so we are going to be pleating the left side onto the space provided, and then we are going to be doing the same for the right side. So before that, I went ahead to cut out facing for both the left and then the right upper bodice. Then I notch the sewing allowance in order to help it lie flat. So I did same for the other side. I also cut out facing for the neckline of the back as well, and then I notch the seam allowance. So we're going to head over to the ironing board and iron it flat. I also did this decorative bias on the front band, which is going to give this corset effect. So I've gone ahead to iron flat the facing onto the fashion fabric. So what we are going to do now is we are going to join the shoulder of both the back and then the front together. So you place front side facing each other, and you're going to sew with 1/2 inches sewing allowance for both the facing and that of the fashion fabric. So you're going to sew straight. Then I've gone ahead to do that, and this is the result. So what we are going to do next is we are going to be attaching an elastic to the shoulder. So you're going to measure how wide your shoulder is, You're going to cut out 2 straps of elastic. So what you're going to do is you're going to open up the shoulder seam, and you're going to stitch exactly on the same stitch line to create this gathering effect on the shoulder. Okay. Alright, so I've gone ahead to stitch the elastic onto the shoulder, and this is the final look. So now it's time for us to attach the band to the upper bodice. So what we are going to be doing is front side facing each other for only one part of the band. We are going to be pleating the upper bodice onto the band. So you're going to match the center and then the sides, then pleat the rest of the fabric onto the band. Remember, the band is 2-piece, but then we are only going to be pleating on just 1 piece. So I've gone ahead to pleat the upper bodice onto the band using pins. It helps you to know the outcome or what is to come. So I'm going to head over to the sewing board, and I'm going to stitch with 1/2 inches sewing allowance. So I've gone ahead to do that, and this is what I have right now. So we are going to bring in the other piece of the band for both the back and then the front. Then you are going to match the notch areas together. You are going to stitch to cover the seams you use to attach the pleat. I hope you understand just what I'm doing, okay? Alright, so you bring in the other part of the band or the other piece. Going to sew like this, then you're going to flip it over to cover up the seams. I hope you understand. So I've gone ahead to do that, and this is what I have. Make sure you trim off the excesses, and if you have an overlocker, you can go ahead and use it. So I've gone ahead to do that for both the front and then the back. Then I've trimmed off the excesses, and when you flip the front to the right side, this is what you have. You see our seam is covered inside when you do it that way, okay? Alright, so you flip it right side to right side, both the back and then the front, and you're going to stitch with 1/2 inches sewing allowance. I've gone ahead to do that, trim off the excesses, and when you flip it to the right side, our upper bodice is almost ready. So we're going to notch the center of the front. Then we're going to bring in the lower part, which is the skirt. And what we are going to do is we are going to sandwich the skirt in between the top layer. So front side facing each other. Make sure the notch areas are aligned, or the center of the skirt aligned with the center of the bodice. Then match the side seams for the top and then the skirt. Make sure the side seams are aligning. Then you're going to stitch round with 1/2 inches sewing allowance. I've gone ahead to stitch with 1/2 inches sewing allowance, and if you have an overlocker you can go ahead and use it at this point. And then when you flip it to the right side, this is what we have. Very easy, very simple tutorial. Look at the final outcome of this outfit. Very beautiful, very easy. We'll see you in my next video. Bye.